As a young man, I was bugging John Naka to tell me how to reduce the length of the pine needle. And after bugging him so many times, he finally got tired of me bugging him. He said, "Hi, I'm miltonchang of Bonsaiheirloom. Today, I would like to refine these two older, more mature Japanese black pine to show you how to reduce the needle length to equal length everywhere. That's what makes a bonsai really well manicured and pleasant to look at. So this is actually a Mikawa variety from the Mikawa Island or the Deer Island region, which has pretty rough bark. It's not corking exactly, but rough. And it has one virtue is that when you cut it, there could be additional branching coming out of the branch that doesn't look like that would have happened, but they do. So that it's much more inducive to ramification. So that's a good variety to look for, the Mikawa variety. And this one is such a cork pine, Nishiki pine, which is very desirable because the corking, you can see this branch is dead, but with the corking, I do not want to cut it off because it just shows the age, and you can see the corking in the bark. In Japan, they said you can do this by cutting with very low yield, but they have that technique down well so that you're able to buy these cutting-grown Nishiki pine in department stores in nurseries. So these are the two varieties I work on. So again, the objective is to restyle the bonsai and at the same time trying to reduce the length of the needle that comes out in subsequently, and also to uniform in needle length. So let me work on the cork pine first. First, so you know, there's a graft mark where this is the black pine, and they graft the cork pine on top of it. And the lump starts here, usually just above the soil line. And in a Japanese customer, it's quite acceptable because that's expected to be what it is. On the other hand, I think if you started with a cutting, then you can start the corking right above at the soil line with the roots coming out. That may be more attractive in the long run. So I hope I will try to root some of these cuttings, and I'll share with you my experience to see if it works. So basically, you want the tree to have the classic look, the patch here, and then the coming down, the longer ones. So you can take advantage of the long candle and wire a little bit to make it come down to shape it. So then when you cut it here, there will be branching coming out all along this branch or this candle. And in Japan, what they said is that Japanese bonsai book says, what you do is you try to make the remaining needles in clusters. So if I want a branch to come out here, the book says, I don't know if it's true, the book says you want to leave a cluster of needle so that there will be a branch coming out here. I think that probably works. It's not so much that because the needle are there to induce the branching, but rather when you have so many needles here, one of them is likely to become a branch. So you can explain it either way, but I think that's more logical. So what you would do is say you want to, no point in having needle where you don't want the branch to be, just pull it off, and then you leave the amount here. So for example, if I now cut it here, this will start branching here, so I have a lot of branching and also branching in the back as to what you want out of a traditional tree. So let me get a wire. Pine branches are relatively easy to bend, so what you can do is you can massage it a little bit, prevent it, just don't break it. But you can massage it a little bit so it will be kind of naturally coming down. And then you add a little bit of wire to hold it in place. And I would say I wouldn't keep the wire on much more than a month, even though it may bounce back some when you remove it, but you really don't want to gird the tree. And so I would use wire, but I'm very careful in getting rid of it very quickly. So maybe the way to do it is to put the wire on and then start to peel off the needles to induce where you want the branches to be. So you see the branches now remaining in place. And if I want a branch to come out here, I think there's enough branching here. I think this could be a good one. So I will have a branch coming out here. Then I would like a branch coming out here. So I peel off the ones that's outside of the area, and then something will come out here, and then something will come out here, and then more. So this would be a branch that's fairly dominant in the design because you want the kind of the form, the triangle. And then you can cut off the redundant ones. So what you do is that I should really get back to my basic principle to always work on the apex first. I think this is a kind of the natural apex. You can see this almost coming straight up, and then this coming up, and then these coming down. So with that in mind, then I want the apex to be this high. So I cut it here, right? So that these will come out, branching will come out at about this height, and then I'll peel off the rest of the needles, and then I'll peel off any needle that's not needed to form the triangle. So like I want this branch to be down a little bit. So I put my thumb here to hold it so I don't break this branch at this joint. And then I start to bend it. You can see there's a little crack, but that will cause the branch to stay put. Then I just cut it. So even though this is about the right length, I still cut it because I want the next set of needle come out at about the same time, so they will then have about the same length. So when you have very long candles, you cut it off early so that needles coming out after that will be shorter. If you just let it go and cut much later, the needles will come out, the branch will come out much thicker. So I just cut off anything that's a little bit tall and cut the tips at the same time. So what comes out will be about the same length. And I don't want it to be too dense, even though being dense is very desirable, but it obscures the branching for me to enjoy. So I will cut off more than most people would, but again, it's a trade-off between lots of needles versus get to see the design of the trunk. I cut off any of the needles in the wrong direction, and then so the remaining will be growing the right direction and with the right looks. And like this one, it's too many pointing up, so I cut off the ones pointing up to make the rest of it pointing down. So in the meantime, I will bend the branch to keep it down a little bit instead of bouncing back. There's no restoring force to bounce it back, so yeah, it's okay. I cut the tip off a little bit so the new needles coming out will be shorter and of the same uniform length. You may also want to peel off the really long needles because that's unsightly in the meantime. And again, even though this one is not very long, I cut the tip off a little bit so that the new growth coming out will be of the uniform length that I'm looking for. So the top layer is almost done. Let me just turn around so you can see where I'm going with this. And this one, it's pointing out a lot, and there's one coming down. So if I cut this one off a little bit here, there'll be branching coming out here, and then this will come out here and grow. So then you'll have a little pad later. Not very much pad, but over time it will become nice pad. Again, I'm cutting a little bit of tip off to induce the uniform needle length. And the same thing like this, I pull it down a little bit first before I cut into it so that it stay put in the design that I had in mind. You don't have to do it all at once. You can cut them off the next time so the pads come out more like where you want it to be. Peel off a few long ones. Oh, sorry, one branch got pulled off at the same time. So you have to kind of put your finger on it to prevent that from happening. So only the needle will come off. Give it a little twist when you pull it. So that part you see is almost done. I can almost debate to cut this one off because you want something to come out here. This is kind of cluttered. But on the other hand, I don't want it to look too bare. So I would do this, and hopefully that's okay. I think this branch will look kind of nice coming this way. So when it gets a little thicker, I can wire it to pull it down. But in the meantime, let me reduce it a little bit tip so that there will be some branching coming out here and then some branching coming out the front. And I think that will be nice. Now the same thing with this. You can see this one sticking up. So let me pull it down a bit. You see, it stay put. And then you will have a branch down there. You see, I'm reducing the density. When the branch coming out too close, it just looks cluttered. And this one, you want to have a pad. So you cut off some of this to roughly form the shape of the pad, and then keep working on it until the pad fills out to be the traditional pads, which is like this. So it will be kind of sparse after I'm done, but it will fill out fairly quickly. Oh, I would say in about 6 months, it will be another pruning opportunity. And like this, it's growing up. So I try to bend it down a little bit, but with my finger underneath of it so I don't break it, and cut off anything that's impossible to move. You see, now it's more flat, you see? And the same thing with this. I think I probably don't need this because this will fill up. Otherwise, it looks too cluttered. And this is kind of nice. It comes out and give me a little bit design feature, especially if I wire a little bit later. And so I can see this one comes out this way, but you don't want to continue this way. So you let one of these branches come out to grow to the side. So with that in mind, then what I would do is that I would and this is kind of a nice branch coming down. And I would say it should probably go this way. So I bend it a little bit, twist it, and it will stay put more or less. Pull off some of the really long needles, and the rest of it feed the tree to feed the new needles coming out or new branches coming out, and then you will have a much denser look the next time. So you don't want this branch to grow this way, so you cut off this one and encourage this one to grow to the side. And the Cork pine also has a very good characteristic that they can shoot out at random places to give you more design opportunity. So it can get pretty fast ramification, which is really a good thing. By the way, as I explain things, I actually learn myself because I don't like to speak nonsense. So I try to figure out how to say it right, and which in the process of learning how to do it right. So give to get, I'm trying to give you what I know, and in the process I learn as well. So that's how life works. You gotta be generous, gotta be giving. At the same time, of course, you don't give away the shop, but you try to be helpful, and you get something in return in unexpected ways. I'm almost done. After this branch, I'm done. So you want this to be kind of like going out like this to give it the pad a little bit more distance, so you cut off here. Okay, the last branch. You don't want this to come this way, you want this one to go that way. So you cut it off. It's kind of a heart-wrenching to cut off a nice branch, but you do it. Well, there you are. The tree looks much more bare, and then it fill out in about 3 months or 2 months actually, quite rapidly. You can see that's the shape. You can imagine this someday a little longer, this shorts here, and then comes up like this and like that, and then there's a bottom branch. Even though this one is dead, it adds to it. So that's the Cork pine. That's I would say this is about a 25 to 45-year-old Cork pine that's been cultivated. So this is the second tree I'll do. It's a Mikawa pine. I started from a little 1-gallon plant. I would say 15, maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And I did not grow it very well. So the bottom actually died off, and I used that as an advantage to create the animal look the Chinese bonsai likes to be. And I've been clipping it back, and you can see the needles are pretty uniform now. I've been clipping it back for maybe 5 years. So each year it gets more ramification, and they are more or less the same length of the needle. So it's pretty pleasant, it's good. Now I need to do one more stage of refining. So 3 to 6 months from now, it will have even more ramification, factor 2. You know, if you double it every 6 months or a year, every 6 months, in 5 years, you got like 5 times or 10 times the ramification. It's very quick. So with that in mind, then I just click away, not very much, but hopefully in the process, the next time when it comes around, it will be more dense at the right places. So just cut the tip. If you cut most of the tips at the same time, then the needle coming out would be all about the same length. So that's what I'm doing, because the branches are more or less at the right places, and then I should pull off the ones that are too dense, but I can do that anytime. You know, in the meantime, just let it be. Again, I'm really not changing much by clipping the tip of the growth, but the point is that if I clip them all at once, the needle coming out will be about the same length, and that's uniformity that you seek. So that's a trick about making bonsai pine bonsai look very uniform in a needle length, and to make it look really attractive, look well manicured. So all I'm doing is just go around and clip off all the long candle, the growed up candle. Hopefully it will shoot out again to create a uniformity in the needle length. And the point is that the needle length will in fact become more uniform as more of them get clipped again and again, year after year. So like this once it passed, so I just cut it. And next time when it comes out, it'll be right. So you improve over time. You cannot hurry in a bonsai. You gotta let it grow. I'm just cutting off the tip to keep it at about the same the length of the pad where I want each branch to be. So this is almost like poodling, although a little bit more careful. So that's pretty much a tree this time around. And next time it'll be much more dense. And then in terms of the amount of needles in the pads. And then you trim it again every several months and to thicken it. And One other thing I could do is just go around and thin out some of the redundant growth. On the other hand, let it be so that when you think out, it taken out more of the juice, that where you want to remain gets shorter leaves. So what you want to do is that each time when you work on the tree, you fine tune a little bit of design. So like this branch, I think coming down makes it look a lot more aged because the tree is at age it droops. So what I do is I use a tie wire and to fill this hole by pull this down onto this step branch, and then and that gives a slightly fine tune in the design of the look of the tree. Not much, but what you can do is you can two wires and take this one, do a little bit more, or just do a little bit of bending to make it look more droopy and to show the age. So you see that little improvement's no big deal, but it looks that much more, that much better. With that in mind, then I'm done. Today I work on two older pine. And so what I did is the objective is to induce more branching, more needle, more thicker pads, and at the same time, reduce the length of the needle so that they become shorter. And not only that, the whole tree become about the same uniformity in the needle size. In a sense, you expect to see a tree with the needle exactly the same because they're supposed to be. So with that in mind, what I did is I tried to fine tune a little bit of the angle reorientation by wiring, and also clip off the tips, because when you clip off the tip of the candle, it starts to branch out below, and then you can reshape it again the next time. And after a few times, there will be more branching and more uniform needles. And so that's what I did to this one. Again, this is I would say 25-year-old, without exaggeration, Cork pine, probably imported from Japan. Some person has been working on that for a long time. I bought it about a year ago at an auction, at the Mammoth auction. And then this one, I work on it from a 1 gallon seedling that I bought, and work on it for maybe 15, 20 years. And that's what it become. And just for the fun of it, I used the dead part of the roots to make it into this animal shape that the Chinese bonsai people like to do. So that's it. And I will show you these trees, I would say 6 months from now, or the right opportunity. You can see a lot more dense growth, and then I'll clip it again. Twice a year, each time you almost double the amount of ramification. It makes the tree look dense very quickly. So pines are not difficult. People assume it's difficult because people lay down so many rules. It got so confusing. It perplexes me for a very long time. In fact, I joke about it one time. I told you, as a young man, I was really bugging John Naka to tell me how to reduce the length of the pine needle. And, he's got a real dry sense of humor. And after bugging him so many times, he finally got tired of me bugging him. He said, when the needle is too long, pull it off. Then you don't have the long needles anymore. You have short needles. So that's the whole idea. Get rid of what you don't like, and you have what you like. So anyway, I share with you today the method to fine-tune 2 pine bonsais, which you can apply easily to make your tree look respectable. So thank you very much for watching. Please like my video. That's my reward. I like brownie points. And please subscribe to our channel, and we'll notify you of new postings. So thank you very much. I'll see you next week.